My name is Steve North. Today is February 15th, 2015. I'm conducting an interview for Toldos Israel with Asher Fisher, also known as Alan,
Alan,
Brooklyn, yes. New York. Mr. Fisher, please tell me your name at birth. When you were born, your name was?
My name is Alan Fisher, and I was born in April 22, 1922.
So your birthday is April 22nd,
April 22nd, 1922.
And your name when you were born?
My name was Asher. Asher, after my great-grandfather, Asher.
Tell me how far back you can trace your family. You know your great-grandfather's name was Asher. Did you know your grandparents?
Yes, I remember. I was a kid, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and I remember I was sleeping with him, and my grandfather's name was Yitzchak Fisher, not Fisher. Sorry, my grandfather's name was Klein. There's a problem about that, but my name. Practically, I am a grandchild of Klein. My father was Klein. My mother was Liner. And here I come with the name Fisher, and that is from the troubles that I went through at home yet before the Holocaust started.
So when you were born, your name was Klein? Was the last name?
Yes, my father's name is Klein. Mm-hmm. And my mother's, I have been explaining it in a book.
Let me first ask what town you were born, the town and the country.
I was born in Kušnjice, in the Czech. It's called in Czech, Kušnjice. In the Russian name is Kušnjica.
And how would you spell Kušnjica in English now?
In English, it's Kushnica.
That was in Czechoslovakia when you were born?
That was Czechoslovakia when I was born.
And now where is it?
And now it belongs to the Ukraine.
So
that's the Carpathian Mountains.
And your family was there for as long as you know? That area?
Yes, my family was there. Was there. I grew up Orthodox. My whole family they were religious people.
What was your shul like? What was your synagogue like that you went to?
Synagogue?
Your shul?
My shul? I was very religious myself. Until I grew up, and not only until I grew up, until I was already in the Holocaust and suffering. And I was...
Did you go to a cheder?
I turned very disappointed about my family was taken away. I was very, very hurt.
Let me ask first, before then, did you go to a cheder or a yeshiva?
Yes, I have been going in cheder until the age of 14. Mm-hmm. In cheder, and also in public school. Public school, I was going to the Czech public school.
And when you were growing up, was there any kind of Zionist groups in your town?
Any kind of
Zionist groups? Did you ever think of Palestine?
Yes.
Going there?
Yes, I joined the Zionist group. It was Mizrahi, and then at one period of time was Hapoel Mizrahi, and that's it. But being religious, I didn't want to go in the other movements. I have been religious, and I was praying morning and night, and not only that, when I went to the forced labor camp, I had my tefillin, my siddur.
Before that, I want to ask, when did you leave your home? I understand you became an apprentice tailor?
Oh, I finished apprenticeship.
What age did you start that?
I started at 14.
At age 14?
I finished the Heder and all that. I started. My father wanted me to go to yeshiva. And I was arguing about that because I wanted to have, to be assured to make a living, to be able to make a living. So I went to Munkach, a city which is 45 kilometers from Kushnitsa. And there I was apprenticing for 3.5 years by a religious tailor. And I have been very, very good for it. And as a matter of fact, after I finished the tailoring, every time I went visiting him, and he was telling me that he didn't have an apprentice like me before or after. He was using apprentices and all that.
So you already were a good tailor.
But I was a good tailor, and it happened in 1938. My father passed away from a certain disease, and I couldn't tell what age. At what age he passed away, and I went home to sit shiva and to be home available. I was going to shul to daven and to say Kaddish the whole year after that.
You had brothers and sisters?
I had 2 brothers and 4 sisters. One of the brothers survived, and one of the 4 sisters survived. And 3 sisters perished. 2 of them had already children. The oldest sister had 2 children. The younger sister had one baby. And of course their husbands were taken to the army and all that. And they never came back.
So you worked as the apprentice tailor until, I'm thinking 1939?
Yes.
And that's the same year?
Until 1939, I have been doing the tailoring mostly for the young friends of Kushnitsa.
What is the young friends of Kushnitsa?
Young friends, what I mean, I was young and they were young, so
with other, okay.
Yes.
I understand.
So
that was the year of the Nazi invasion, right? 1939.
That was before. However, we had problems in the 1939, 1940. Yes, and that what happened. They started to look to make trouble for the Jewish families. And so they did with my family. We were 7 children. and the mother, she was already a widow. And they were pressing to show proof that she is born in Kushnitsa, which she couldn't do that because she has been brought as a 1-year-old baby from the Galicia side. Her father, Benjamin Leiner, and all her family was coming over to Kushnitsa. And she knew that she cannot have this proof that she was born. She was from Kushnitsa, from Czechoslovakia, born and all that. So they were threatening that they will send her away. And she was very panicky and she didn't know what to do. A widow, 7 children, and it happened with other families that they did send them away, and they never came back. So she went to Munkac, where they give out birth certificates and all that. And she claims that she was born in Munkac, and her name is Leiner Ida, and she was born in Munkac, she claims, and she wants her birth certificate. Of course, they looked and they didn't find it, and they felt sorry. And most probably there were Jewish clerks there, and they were trying to do so they say, we cannot find Leiner Ida. We found a Fisher Ida, so let it be Fisher Ida. So that's what happened, and she got that birth certificate with Fisher Ida. She comes to Kushnitsa to the offices and to show that they transferred her name from Leiner to Fisher, and they transferred all the family, the children, also to the name Fisher, but not Klein, because my father never married officially, legally, only a chuppah, the Jewish law, according to the Jewish law. So we wound up all the family under the name of Fisher. And now, after the liberation, I didn't want to change because it makes complications for the rest of my family.
What were the first years like from 1939, from the invasion, until 1943? What were those 3 or 4 years like for you?
Till 1943, it was anti-Semitism, all kinds of hatred, things and all that, but we managed. Yes, the 1942, 41, 42, they start pressuring on guys like me and my age to go to the forest and to cut trees for nothing. Not considering that I have to make a living, to work tailoring and make a living and all that. So this is what happened. I was a weak link because a tailor and all that. So doing working in the forest, I struggled whatever possible I could. And all that. Comes 1943. I turned 21 years old, and I had to go to the army, like the time for enlisting to the army was my time to enlist to the first labor. This is what happened, and it happened on Erev Yom Kippur. That I was leaving, I was going on the train, traveling, where I had to go. So it took time.
What was it like when you left your family?
When I left my family, it's like a young person. I fixed up my luggage and all that, like time as people go to the army. I was going to the first labor camp with the luggage and all that. So that's when the other trouble of suffering started. First labor camps.
And where was that? What was it
Okay. That was, I don't know if I will remember the name. It is south of Budapest, because the Hungarians occupied my territory, where I grew up, and for the moment I cannot remember where I was, but there they organized us in groups, and they took us to the train station, which was a very hard walking, carrying the luggage. All night we were walking in the rain and carrying the luggage on the. Not everybody could do it. They left the luggage by walking and all that. But I don't know how I made it, but I did make it with the luggage to the train. And then from the train, that I remember where I went to. Mohacs, it's called, which is near the Yugoslav border, which more south of the Hungary.
And what was that place like?
That place, they had a building which was empty. It was like incomplete, the building and all that, with numerous floors and all that. And it was called the leather factory. And there we stayed for some six weeks period. We went through what do you call training. We have been trained for building roads and bridges. That was our kind of training and all that. It all goes the hard way, of course, yes, but that's it. And after that, after we finished that and all that, so we belonged to a certain group of 250 people. I don't know what you call a camp or something. And I remember the name of it. 4 dash, not dash, what do you call it, angle. 4 on 4. That means the 4th division. And every division had 4 camps like we had, which is 2,000 people as a division.
How long did you stay there, approximately?
There we stayed for a certain while, some 3 months, and then they chose from the 250 people, they chose the stronger people, and they took them all the way towards Poland, north towards the Russian, Hungarian-Russian frontier.
And you were in that group?
They were. I was not.
You were not.
I thought that they are the lucky ones, but it turned out that I was the lucky one, that I was saved, and we were taken from place to place. Whatever was bombed, railroads and places, roads and railroads. This is what we had to replace into service.
Did you ever try to escape?
Yes, that was one time. That was a longer, later on, in late in the 1944. Right in the 1944, I happened to wind up there as a tailor for the workers. They ripped their clothes for the work and all that. So I had always a lot of work for them to do, and also for the officers, whatever they needed and all that. So I have been doing tailoring. And being that I was doing the tailoring, I didn't have to go out to carry heavy bags to 200 kilos, not 200 kilos, 120 kilos bags and all that. And the whole group we had were working for their military division supply, food supply. This was, they had their kinds of work and all that. They had to carry and do all kinds of things and all that. But I was a tailor, and I was inside, not around.
Well, you think that helped save
because
you?
of that I was a tailor.
Yeah.
So the Jewish clerks that worked in the office, they learned that the day of tomorrow, the following day, they knew all the orders that came in first. So, and they knew me, and that just like we were a group of select group, tailor, clerks, shoemaker, and things like this and all that. So they knew me, and they trusted me. So they told me, super secret, that tomorrow morning we have to start marching towards Austria into the concentration camps, marching from the city where we have been working, we lived in the rail cars. We lived in the rail cars on the station Komárom, in Komárom. And from Komárom we had to go towards Austria.
And that's when you decided
Walking.
to escape?
Pardon me?
Is that when you decided to escape?
So they told me, so we were 11 Jewish boys, which includes 2 clerks that worked in the office of the big officer, on the top officer. And they organized 2 watchmen. The watchmen that are going with the bayonets, with a rifle, with the bayonets on and the rifle and all that, they advised them, what are you going to do in Austria and all that? You are from Hungary and all that. And let's do something. You will come with us. We are 11 Jewish boys, and they were two Christians with this. So, and you will go. We will walk like under your observation, and all that. And you will save us, and the Russians will be already there. We will walk toward the Russian frontier, and you will save 11 boys. So you will be awarded for that. That was a dream for them, and they accepted that idea. So that's what we did. And we walked, but as far as possible, we walked towards the frontier. All night, away from the main road, just in case of situation. The clerks made a false paper that we are being sent replacement for another place. No, that. Everything worked, and we walked about, not on the road, but in the whatever it is, hills and whatever kinds of a little forest, a little this, a little that, all the time, but away from the road, about a mile away from the main road, comes a place that was of other brook. We had no other choice but to go to the road and cross the bridge, and again back down, and it took us an all night walking. On the bridge, we were strictly organized, that the guys, one in front with a bayonet on the rifle, and the other guy in the back of us, and we make steps like soldiers, left, right, that, and so that we shouldn't be suspicious. So we cross the bridge, we continue to go in this. When we wind up before an area where there was a big owner, a big owner, barrow, what is it called? Baron. Ownership that owns a lot of land and all kinds of things that they were building, products, things like this. And so that the owner was not there, only the helper, and all that. And they needed people like us, and we were offering that we will manage the cows and the horses and the pigs that they own. It's a big ownership, it's big, and all that. And all those who have been working on that place, they ran away because from the war is going on, all that. And we have no choice. We survive. We will be lucky we survive and all that. This is where we settled down, and they had the huts, places, and all that. All of a sudden, that was in January, some 2-3 days before Christmas. Comes all of a sudden, we see Germans, a whole bunch of them on horses. They come towards this area and all that. So we started to be panicky, and we started to go and find hiding places. That was January and all that. So everybody was hiding somewhere else. I was hiding under in what do you call a raffet? In a raffet.
A barn?
In,
barn.
huh?
A barn?
Yes. All right. Hiding there, and where they feed the cows. Jack, what do you call that place?
A trough.
The trough where they feed the cows.
Oh, right, because I would never know that name of it. And I slid under that. We are 11 boys and all that. And the Germans come with the horses and all that, and they take a rest. They come inside the barn, and it's so close to me and all that. And I am under that thing.
And you had to keep quiet, right?
That's my problem, you know what I mean, and all that. And here it is winter time and all that. If I give a little cough, they wouldn't shoot. They would come with a bayonet and all that and kill me there. Not only that, but the rest of the boys, of the 11 boys, let's say there were 10 others, and they were worried about me, that if I will be caught hiding, and I will be suspicious that I'm Jewish and all that, they will be in trouble. So they were very alert about me. How can they locate me and all that? So they came into the barn. They were going to feed the cows. And he is talking, and the guy is talking to the cow, giving her food. They're talking to the cow. I should hear him, and all that. So here the Germans are sitting, a group around, and young people, of course, and then they singing and doing, resting and entertaining one another and all that. And he talks to the cow and feeding her and all that. So I catch him. That's what he wanted to see, where I am. All right. So
you touched his leg.
I touched his leg. I knew who he is. He is one of the 10. And he was happy, and he keeps talking to the cow in Hungarian. I should hear. I should hear. So he says, take that basket over your head. And they know already, and all that. So I was sliding out slowly, and I get this basket over my head, and they were all happy. Here I am. So because little by little they all showed up as workers. of the place and all that. And if they will ask, who are you? We are workers with the cows and horses and the pigs. Have plenty of things to do and all that and all that. And sure enough, the Germans were sharing rooms in the huts with us. So we became friendly. Comes a time of Christmas, they all got from their families candies, all kinds of trimmed and all kind of things. They trimmed up a tree and all that. And we were singing in Hungarian and all that, and they were singing, they were saluting and singing their way and all in German and all that to celebrate the Christmas. So this is what happened and all that. And we embraced one another and all that. So that's what happens for another 2 days or something. Yes, all of a sudden they get an order that because it is foggy and all that, they have to leave. And they ask us, what are you going to do? And we say we didn't want to know German, although we knew and all that, but we act as we don't know. So that's a question like this, we will kick them back. And that was our reply. Sure enough, the Germans left. Soon, hours later, comes a whole division of tanks with the Russians, like animals and all that. And of course, they start. What time is in Russian? What time is it? I take my watch, take it out, and I say it's 8 o'clock. Oh, давай, give me that watch. That's what they wanted. That's why they asked what time it is and all that. So whatever. I say, go, have it.
But you were happy to see them, right?
Very, very happy that my watch was an Omega. It was an expensive watch and all that. You know, a young person and all that. That's what I had. This was my whole. Anyway.
But did you understand when the Russians came that this was the end of the war, basically?
I hoped, but it was not the end for me. It was not the end and all that. We went to the city, more in, but as much as possible to be in the occupied city already.
This is now 1945, right?
It was still 1944. It's before New Year's. And I come. That city has been changing hands a number of times. Now the Germans again, now the Russians again. The city was terribly destroyed. I remember the name of the Hungarian, Székesfehérvár. That's what it called the city. My trouble was, I wanted to get out of that city. Every few steps, the Russians come, show me documents, who you are, you know that and all that. And this was the trouble. They take me from one office to another place and all that. And we couldn't get out. I had another friend with me from the 11 boys. And sure enough, I wound up back into the Germans' hands and all that. So this was my trouble. And of course, where do you belong and all that, I say, I was belonging to this and this group. They sent me to that group. This is the way I wound up to go towards Austria and so on. I never reported this, my runaway for the Germans when I was reporting to claim.
When did it finally end for you, this whole part of your life?
In 1945, I have the time marked down because I wouldn't remember. I was in 3 different places in this short period of time until May. I have been in 3 different places, and I will find it here because I wrote down here and there a few times, and all that. Let me just find. Oh, yeah. 1944, the end of 1944, I went to the concentration camps. It was 3 places, Schattendorf, Mauthausen, and Gunskirchen. And I was liberated in 1945. It doesn't say. It doesn't. I don't have the exact date, but in 1945. Which is in May, and that. So this got the end of my liberation. And I was liberated by the Americans, and so I was trying to manage to go back. I didn't know what's going on with my family. Excuse me. I didn't know anything, and I come towards Budapest. Budapest, I knew one thing, that I have to go to this and this station. They have on the east side, the west side, something like that, and all that, with a name. And I knew which station I need to go. I wanted to go to my home and see if I have any one of the family. So I walk on this side of the street, and then there's another guy walking on the other side of the street in Budapest. And I asked him, excuse me, how do you go to this and this station? I don't remember, east side. Yes, Kelet. East side, yes. Where is the east side station? He says, and he sensed that I am a Jewish guy and all that. He says, where do you want to go? He says, I say I want to go to the Carpathian and all that. He says, I'm also from Carpathian. Where to? And all that. So I'm telling him. So he is telling me where he is from. So I knew that where he is from. He says, do you want to go to Israel? I say, I'm dying to go to Israel. That was my dream of my life and all that, but I don't have money. He says, money? He comes closer to me. He opens up this in the back, full of bundles, of money, bundles, money. He was one from the Jewish agency and all that, organizing guys like me and all that to go into the Jewish Jewish organization as a Zionist, and all that. He says, and so he was from Dror Habonim. Dror Habonim, that's what they called. So that's.
How long was it from that time until the time you actually left to go to Israel? How long?
Oh, it took quite time, because this was soon in 1945 and all that, and he took me to introduce me to a whole group of Zionists, young people. I was young myself. I was 23 and a half years old. 23, not and a half yet. Okay. So he comes, he brings me into a place in Budapest, and Daily Bob Street, number 19, that I never will forget. And boys, girls, I didn't see any Jewish people, because we were 250 people. We got liberated, and we wound up to be 25, 10%. The rest has gone. No, it was a terrible experience for us. What we went through.
And you found out what happened to your family at the same time?
No, I found out from the here and there that all the family are gone. Only from the concentration camps, here and there, survivors, and mostly young people. So it comes, being there in Budapest, hanging on a couple of weeks and all that, I learned one of my sisters survived, and she knew more about the rest of the family, that they're all gone. And soon enough I learned about my brother, the one ahead of me with the age. So a sister and a brother, we were 3 survivors. And the rest are gone. Know that. So
you liked the idea of going to Israel at that point?
I was thinking of this when I was in the big trouble and all that. I didn't believe that I will survive because of the way of what I was going on. People were dying like flies and all that. And I didn't believe that I was, but I say, who knows what is going to happen tomorrow and all that and all that. Just in case I survive, we need a Jewish land that we can be. This was in my. I want to fight, and I want to build, and I want to do anything that's possible, but to support and build a Jewish land. Okay. I met my wife, a girl. She had also seven siblings, and she had only a mother. Her father also passed away before. And from her 7 siblings, she and a sister and a brother survived. And my sister was already with me, joined in the group.
Tell me your wife's name.
Esther Esther Feierstein, she is from Munkach. I never knew her.
When did you get married?
After 7 months being together. Of course, it's my younger sister. She was my mother, and I was her father, and we were advising and helping one another. And my sister was sleeping in one room in the girls' room with her, and she was very much about her, that I should marry her, and all that. So, by her advice and all that, so I married her. She was the most wonderful person in my life.
What year was your marriage?
1946, we were married. We married in Vienna, a chuppah and all that. And I do have a picture somewhere of the chuppah.
She wanted to go to Israel also.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, and all that, and all that. So we wound up in 1940. What did I say? 1946. Yes, 46 we got married. And sure enough, she got pregnant and we didn't know about it. She didn't know about it, but a friend of hers noticed signs that she is pregnant and all that. We are waiting for a chance to go to Israel, of course. A chance came, and they took us to France. From France, in a certain city, I don't remember where, it is near the shore somewhere and all that. And we wind up on a boat called Theodor Herzl, that they named it, Theodor Herzl. I don't know if you ever heard about that boat and all that. We were some Stockings, maybe some 2,000 people there and all that. It was not easy. I've never used to go on a boat and all that. My wife keeps vomiting because she's pregnant, and I keep vomiting because I couldn't stand. I was not used to travel on a boat, especially a boat like that and all that. We come to Israel and all that. Of course, the British were already keeping an eye on us and all that, and they kept asking, where are we going? And they answered yes, they answered that we are going to another place somewhere and all that. So the British say you're the wrong direction. You're in the wrong direction. All that, they want to hear more and all that. And we knew about the conversations and all that. And of course, we were all youngsters there on survivors. There was no older people survivors and all that. We come a little closer. The British tell us we should give up and come back to there and all that. We didn't go. We didn't want to, and all that. So other people were putting a fight back and all that. So with fights and all that, there was a child was killed by these things and all that. And sure enough, the British caught us and all that, and they tied us up with their boat and all that. they bring us to the shore of Haifa, and we had to go from that boat to their boat and all that, and they took us to Cyprus.
So you could see Haifa, you could see Israel, but then you had
Not-
to leave.
Yes,
head to
we could
Cyprus.
we could see, you know, and all that. Yes, but that's all. See, but nothing. But because they were so sure. Not only I remember how they were the British were telling us we should get off the boat to go to there on the shore of Haifa, and there was an interpreter, you know, and he says in Yiddish. There's an order in Yiddish that you should go get off and go to the other boat, and then he say lo with an aleph. You know what I mean? He said loy met an aleph, Yiddish. That's the way he was saying and all that. So the British didn't know this. Of course we were forced to go and all that. So. There, a month later, my wife gave birth.
And this is
and my son
in a detention camp? In a camp on Cyprus?
in a camp. But we were again surrounded. You know what I mean? All that. It's a detention camp. You know that. So there is my first son was born. Of course, we were very, very happy and all that. And this is this picture of our first son is the logo of the film that they made. It's a documentary film called A Generation Apart. And all that. That's the logo, that picture. Every now and then you see it. Yes.
Let's just hold for 1 second. Make sure that's.
You think it's yours?
I just want to make sure it's not.
No, I don't believe.
I don't have an alarm, so it's not mine. All right, so now I want to move to, how long were you in Cyprus?
Move on.
Because I want to get to Israel now.
All right.
We have to
Okay.
start talking
We
about
are soon there. I still have something
Okay,
to mention.
all right.
Oh, just a minute, you're gonna talk about Prince Charles?
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Oh, you, oh,
Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Let me just reframe. Okay, whenever you're ready. I'm all set.
So your son was born and you're in the detention camp for how long?
Here it happens. We have been there. My son became. It came as something kind of amnesty from the Queen Elizabeth. She got pregnant with Charles, and because of that, we got an amnesty. Those parents who have a baby up to 7 months old are going to be freed to go to Israel. That was our luck.
Because Charles was born around
It
the
was
same
not
time.
born. She was pregnant with him and all that. So that was the thing and all that. Now that was a great thing to us and all that. And I say to my wife, you see that things are coming. Help that baby is already helping us and all that. This was a baby that was a replacement of my whole family. We were very, very enthusiastic about it and all that.
Did you name him?
We named him after my father's name and her father's name. Her father was Mordechai, and my father was Yosef. So Yosef Mordechai. So that's the way it happened.
So how old was he when you got to Israel? He was
Somewhere under 7 months old. Yeah, that. And we came to Israel, and we were in Beit Olim.
I want to ask, what was your first impression walking on the soil of Israel after everything you had been through? What was the first thing you saw? What did you hear when you arrived?
Everything was exciting for me to see. I see workers. I never saw Jewish workers going to working. But the oranges, Pardes, and all that, and I see police, Jewish police. Everything was so exciting to me, and all that. And I say to myself, "Look at this here. Yes, this is a Jewish land, and everything is being managed like in another country, and all that." So that was unusual for us, very, very exciting to both of us and all that.
Yeah, we should stop one more. Second. Wow. Did you see who it was?
No, I don't see. I mean, it's got to be a car right up front, but I don't see any. I don't see any like lights flashing on the car.
Did Steve?
Yeah.
Did he tell you the story about the Prince Charles?
Yeah, we got that.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Don't worry, we're covering it.
I wish
you
I
gotta
could do
go.
something about this car.
You gotta go shoot a car.
We
You
just
have to.
cut here.
You have to switch. Or you have to
Well, actually, I switched cards already. I already have our first card transferring, just to be safe in case but we have another 50 minutes on this card, and we can jump by that time that card.
I still think in terms of tape, but
Yeah,
that's another.
I was a
story.
film loader. I used to carry loads of film.
Okay.
It's the same sort of.
I was gonna say, I was gonna go back as far as film.
The
but-
weight of the film that's in that card right there would have been. All right, let me do a quick little.
You wouldn't believe the cans
Here's
of
the
film.
sync mark. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
So you arrived in Israel.
I arrived in
with your wife
in
and
Israel
your
and all
son,
that.
And how did you think you could make a living? What did you decide to do?
It was a hard thing also. I got an apartment to share with another family and all that in the outskirts of Petah Tikva. And I started to look for work. Being a tailor, the first thing is I'm looking for tailoring work and all that. No chance. The thing is, they don't need tailors. Number one, it's a young country and all that, in a poor country. So people are wearing shorts. They buy from Ata for a few, what do you call it, shekels, and that's it. And they don't need tailors. So there was hardly any place with a tailoring store or something. So I'm looking to make a living, and I'm looking for any kind of work and all that. Here and there, once in a while, I find work in a Pardes, 80 grush, and 80 grush a day, I think. 80 grush is, that was compared to the English liras.
Which is about 80 cents a day.
80 cents a day,
Something
yes.
like
And that was the only one I could find, all that. But once in a while, if I'm lucky, I find by building. By building, I don't have this, but however I manage or whatever I can and all that, because there was 2.5. That was the time of their monies. 2.5. It's not shekel, but
Lira.
before the shekel. Lirot. 2.5 lirot, yes. Lirot Israeli. Okay. It's 2.5 lirot a day. That was a big thing, a big thing. But I have to be very lucky to find a place like this and all that. So from this one thing to another, I had to go always to the Lishkat Avodah to report and to ask for a job. You know that they were supplying and all that. So there are times that I have, and there are times I don't have. Once I was going and I see the building, people are building barracks, most probably already for the Israeli army or something like that. I go to the manager and I ask him, can I get a job? What do you know about the barracks and all that? Can you cut a piece of board and all that? I say, I think I can. He gives me a piece of board, and I start with all might. The saw doesn't go because it sticks in with the teeth, and it doesn't go. So I do with extra force and all that. Sure enough, it jumps out. And it cut myself. They bandaged me and all that right away, and they felt sorry for me that I'm a newcomer and all that, and they started to give me work. I wound up working there for a nice 5-6 weeks.
As a carpenter?
Yes, as a carpenter, I knew already how to bang in a nail. I knew how to saw, and I was already a carpenter, and I was happy that I have the chance to practice that kind of work and all that. Okay, what happens? That was 1948, and a war breaks out, and sure enough, they comes out of order. This and this age, have to attend and all that, and it was my age, of course, that
This was after May 14th, after the state was declared?
That was, no, yet something like before. 1 second. The declaration, May 14? No, it was before May 14. That I'm a little bit not sure of that, because as far as I remember, and at the time of May 14, when Ben-Gurion declared Medinat Israel, and I was there. I was in the next building of Ben-Gurion and all that.
In Tel Aviv?
Ramat Gan.
Oh, in Ramat Gan. Okay.
On there's a hill in Ramat Gan, and he was on top of the hill. And I was there to stay for watch, in the next building at the time. That was a problem with the Altalena ship that the Lehi, Etzel, Lehi, they brought a ship with full of ammunition from Ramat Gan, from Czechoslovakia, from Czechia practically, into here, and he wanted to have it on under his management and under his own. And Ben-Gurion said, no. Keep saying, and they didn't give up, and Ben-Gurion didn't give up, and the ship got into fire. They got it into fire because they had to settle it once and for all, and all that, either or.
So did you first meet Ben-Gurion before the declaration?
No, I didn't meet him then yet.
All right, so May 14th, just tell me more about that day, the day
No,
that
Ben-Gurion
state was
belonged to the headquarters, and I was in the headquarters. Yes, we start just a minute. I skipped something.
Go ahead.
When the war breaks out, I was attending there in the place the same day. 6 people have been called out on the Ramcall, what do we call it?
Loudspeaker.
Yes, on the loudspeaker. And that thing was, my name was also in it. What happened was, when I registered there to the Israeli army, I didn't mention that I'm a tailor. I mentioned that I am a carpenter, because that's I was with pride that I have something that it is appreciated. And so 6 people, they asked for 2 carpenters, 2 locksmiths, and 2 electricians. They needed the 6 people for the military headquarters, steady, to work wherever it's needed. All that. This officer, his name I remember, is Shlomo Zalzinger. He had 2 of this, Sagan. And I was working as a carpenter for the first month, maybe 6 weeks or something like that, as a carpenter whenever they need somewhere in the offices of the generals. Here a leg is shaking on a table, all right, I had to take care of that. A drawer was malfunctioning or something, or falling apart. I was doing that, taking care of things like this and all that. What happened, that officer, that second, Shlomo Zalzinger, he was my boss in this department and all that. He got a call, he has to go to the head general, to Yaakov Dori. He was called and all that. So he was excited and all that, and he has to go and all that. He comes, the button falls off and all that. I say, I can help you. He says, oh yeah? All right. I had a tailor, I had a needle under my lapel. Take off the needle with a little thread there on and all that. I have a thimble and a little pocket here. A thimble, and a needle, a thimble, and all that, and I'm sewing on the button like a professional and all that. 1, 2, 3, and solve the problem solved. And he starts staring at me. He says, "You are a tailor." I say, "I'm a tailor too." All right, He comes to the head general. He comes, And with his thing and all that, he said, "Have I got a tailor?" He's like that, you know. So he says, "Maybe you need something." He says, "I could use Jacob Dory. I could use a pair of pants." He comes back. He brings me a sewing machine, a pressing iron, scissors, rulers, and sets me up. He gives me a room and sets me up, a whole store and all that. And he brings material, and he takes me back to the head general to measure, to take measurement and all that, and that's it. And of course, and I made it, all that. And he was so proud of me. And I say, "Look at this, tailoring was dying for me and all that. I didn't have any need. And here is, I'm so lifted up and all that." So since then I was the tailor until the end of my service and after also.
So during your time at the Central Command, tell me about the people you worked with as a tailor.
For the people I worked.
No, tell me about Ben Gurion or Dayan or people who you came into contact with.
I have in the measurement book, I have many names,
Give me examples of the names.
but
that
I
you
have
know.
to read it now.
Well, you know the name Ben Gurion, right?
Yeah, the Ben Gurion is one thing, but I have Aluf Tzadok. He was Rosh Aka, Agaf Koach Adam, Rosh. He was the head of the whole army, of the Israeli army. And then it was Aluf Abidar. He was Rosh Agaf Afsanaut. Afsanaut is, you know what is Afsanaut? Is clothing, everything that is material is Afsanaut in the army. And he was the head of all the materials and all the needs, clothing and everything, whatever is needed.
And when did you first meet Ben Gurion? Tell me about that. The first time.
Ben Gurion is later on. What happened is Ben Gurion was prime minister, okay, but he was also the minister, defense minister. He had two most important positions because being defense minister, and he has to go every once in a while to see on the frontiers by himself. So he has to be dressed like a regular soldier, otherwise the enemy will identify that he is some kind of a leader and all that. So there was no chance to have a standard size for him because he was short and chubby. So he had to have made for his individual special and all that. So that's when they needed me. They brought me the regular material that is a regular army for a regular army, and they brought whatever was needed and all that. And I had to come to him, take a measurement. At the time when I came to take a measurement, his first question was in Hebrew, where I'm coming from. So I told him I'm coming from the Carpathian, it belongs to Czechoslovakia at that time, and Carpathian, that's the area. He says, how come you speak so good Hebrew? I say, I was going to Cheder all the years growing up and all that. So he understood that very well. Okay.
Were you nervous meeting him?
Are you married? What?
Were you nervous when you met him?
No. These are intelligent people, and I really appreciated to deal with them and all that. Very nice. He asked me, "Are you married?" I say yes, and I am married, and I have one child, and all that. Okay. So I took the measurement, and I had to make fitting with him, and all that. All right. And later came another chance to meet him and to be with him, is to make for him a military dress suit. The officers are gathering and all that, and a military dress suit and all that. So they brought me that kind of dress material and all that. So I was making that for them. He asked me exactly the same questions. How long are you in this country? And are you married? And I tell him. He realized that he's a busy man. He goes through so much through the day with people and all that. So since then, so I a few times that he sees me and all that, so he knew me very well. That this is Alan Fisher and all that. Asher Fisher, yeah, not that. So since then he knew me, and that's why when I was out already from the army and all that, so I sent a letter to him that I would appreciate to have something to memory from him. So that's when he sent me a picture.
What was his reaction when you gave him the finished product, the dress suit, the regular military uniform?
No reaction, no nothing, because
Did you have to
even when he gets the finished product, it was not me even showing up with it. Somebody takes it over to him and all that. Yes, I needed to take measurement for him. It's another trip. It's a short trip for me, because this is only a walking distance to him from where I was having the shop. He needed a hat, and his head is larger than average head. I had to take a measurement and send it to the hat maker who makes military hats, and that did it.
When you were dealing with him, did you ever think to yourself, this is unbelievable that 2 years ago I was almost
Always.
killed?
I was always thinking. I was thinking of where I'm coming from life and death, and all that, and here where I wind up. This was, I couldn't appreciate enough and all that. Fact is that I had so many generals serve very famous people. Iraf Goran is also by me. Goranchik. His name was Goranchik, but he with a position that he's got there, he was military head rabbi in that time and all that. And it's Goran. It's very nice, you know what I mean, from Goranchik and all that. They all freshly changed. The whole thing was fresh. The army and everything and all that. So I have Aluf von Friedman. Von Friedman he comes from, I think from Vienna, from Austria. he was ראש משפט צבאי, ראש משפט צבאי. You know what I mean?
The court
The head
of the military
of
court.
the military court.
Yeah.
Yes. They are all such intelligent people. I remember I had to show up to Yigal Yadin. Yaakov Dori was out already. And Yigal Yadin was then the head general, Rav Aluf. And I remember, I was surprised. I come in and all that. I'm a poor tailor and all that. And he stands up for me. For me, I will never forget that. That is intelligent people.
Yadin was nice to you?
Very nice.
Yeah.
They all really diplomats, all know that. Nice.
Did you meet Moshe Dayan during those years?
Moshe Dayan, I was the first ranks I was sewing on for him. And his first ranks was only Sgan Aluf, which is 2 lafels. You know what they call 2 leaves and all that. Not even before a general, Moshe Dayan, and all that. And yet I met him yet before he had the military clothes on and all that. But he needed to have that here because it's an order. It's an order from them. So I was putting on for many people the first ranks. Everything is a start. Everything is a beginning and all that.
Do you remember anything else about him, about Dayan?
About Dayan, I didn't have much with him at that time and all that because he was having a high position, and all that. About supply. Ammunition supply and things like this and all that. So that department he was ammunition supply, but I didn't have much to do militarily clothing and things like that and all that. But I do remember I was putting on the first because this came up at one like this week this and that week new things, everything. I remember it was a poor army. If no air
Force?
defense.
Yeah.
No things like this. As a matter of fact, I have it on my iPad and I'm saving it all the time and all that. The birth of the military air, what do you call it? Military. I have a lot of things on my iPad from the beginning that it is
Let me ask you about your...
the birth of the Israeli Air Force.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, that's what I...
Let me ask about your involvement with designing the uniform for the
Yes.
Israeli army. Tell me about that.
I do remember he has been asking me questions, Yaakov Dori, questions, if what is appropriate, is it a belt like this, or like that, for the soldiers, for the army, and a few questions about what is more appropriate. I don't know, in Hebrew it's tzanua. I don't know how they say all that.
What was modest, sort of?
Yes, modesty.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was telling him my opinion and all that, but that's all. For him, everything is new in his things, the decision making and things like this and all that. So he was just asking me about what is appropriate and more what my opinion about it. So it's that's what he was asking me, a few things and all that. So I was 25 years old. So whatever I knew to advise, so I did my share and all that.
Did you actually draw designs?
No. I was never a drawer. I was never a sketcher. Yes, I was a tailor. But a tailor has a sense of this is acceptable, this is not, and so on. So
I want to know if any of them treated you a certain way because you were a Shoah survivor. Did they ask you about that? Did it make a difference to them?
there were many survivors at that time. Too bad to say, there were many survivors were killed in that war because they were happy to go and to fight and all that, but they did not have a chance to be trained even because it's a young army. They were short of ammunition. They were short of everything, you know that. It's the whole thing was miraculous about their accomplishments. These survivors were having an opportunity to strike back to whatever for their sufferings and all that and for the loss of their parents. But to tell you the truth, they have been killed, many of them, and there was nobody to cry after them because they had no parents already, and you know what I mean, all that. So it was a very, very sad that happened and all that.
Did you ever
They
worry?
were taken from Czechoslovakia. They came volunteer and happy to go. They were very happy to fight for a land, for a Jewish land. Now we have a chance, you know, and they did everything, but with the lack of experience and lack of training and all that, they lost their lives.
Did you ever think that it could happen to you, that you had survived
100%.
Shoah and then
All-
during the war?
Always I was thinking of that. And honestly, living there 11 years and all that, I had a problem making a living, and I had 3 sons, 3 boys. And I was very much pro-Israel and all that. And my problem was I cannot make a living. I asked
How long were you with the army? And then
I was over a year. A year, I think 30 months, something like it. But I was also continuing as a, not as a soldier, but continuing because they needed the tailor there and all that. So I was working as a hired person. I had a certain salary I was getting paid and all that. And I don't remember for how long and all that, but all I remember is the two head generals. It's Yaakov Dori and Yigal Yadin. Yes, there was a Yigal Alon, a very important person. Yigal Alon belonged to another or different Zionist organization, which is Achdut Avodah. Achdut Avodah is that's not the Achdut Avodah and Mapai were concurrents. How shall I say? Competitions with another. And to tell you the truth, that I remember friends and even relatives of mine. They have been in the organization, in the Zionists, as a drawer, which is Achdut Avodah mixed with a Mapai. But they switched to Mapai, so they got easier the job. But that's politics and all that. I never did that. And and I keep thinking of this, that because I didn't switch to Mapai, and they were very supportive to one of their own kind and all that. Now I'm talking about the Yigal Alon. He was a great personality. He did a lot of accomplishments as far as occupation of territories. What was very, very important. He was very smart to do and all that. And I read his book only while I'm here and all that. And Yigal Alon. But he was Achdut Avodah, he was not Mapai. That's why he never got a high rank as a general and all that. He deserved to be one of the highest rank generals and all that.
Let me ask you, at that time, you were living this day by day. Now, 67 years later, everything that you're talking about is history. These people are legends. Ben Gurion and Moshe Dayan, Yigal Alon and Yigal Yadin. School children study about them. People who know the history of Israel know that this was the moment, the turning point in Jewish history. How do you feel now when you look back that you were part of it at that time?
Number one, I want to tell you, since I moved from Israel to here to the United States, in one way, I was solved with making a living. Here, I was like a prince, caught up, that I accepted. If wherever I want, I had an open door to make a living and all that. On the other hand, I was having great guilt feelings of leaving Israel, especially having 3 sons. and leaving Israel. When I committed myself that I will, if I survive, I will fight for a land like every other nationality has, and all that. It didn't come true. And this is, I think, it's not completely up to me, because I was a married man, and my wife was used to complain that she has a lot of headache and all that from the weather there. It's a hot weather and all that. She didn't want to say in reality what it is. And she knew that I am incapable to make a living there with tailoring, because I tried my best. I was having a store, I paid rent for it, and I was trying to make ready-mades and sell, and I was doing everything, everything possible. But it was a very hard feel for me to leave the morning my house and not to have money to leave for my wife, for the little kids, food. So I lost bitachon, how should I say? Security. This was my whole problem and all that. And my wife used to advise me, why don't you go to the American consulate and report for a turn, to stay in turn, because you have to stay a couple of years until comes a turn to you that America lets you in. And I said, I don't want my name to be in the American consulate. I don't want my name. What she did, she used to send friends, her friends, and she was complaining to them that I don't want and all that. And here I cannot make a living. And she was asking the friends, they should advise me. So they came to me and they tell me, listen, you don't do nothing, you just report that you are going into the reporting to the quota, and whenever it comes the time for you to go, it's in your hands, it's your option. You want, you go. You don't want, you don't go. All that. But at least you are ahead of the game. And I was stubborn, I didn't want and all that. And it comes a time, I lost my, I don't know what to do. I was begging and asking my family who have jobs in a mall or in other places and all that. One was doing a building. He was a kind of carpenter. He started as a carpenter and he became manager of building houses and all that, but for Salel Bonet. And I was asking him, maybe he could get me whatever it is. He couldn't, he had no chance and all that. And here, if I would have changed to become a mapainik, maybe I would have a better chance, but who knows? So this was my greatest problem. And I missed Israel all this time, and I was trying to compensate in other ways and all that. Here I've made a good living.
So let me ask, so I understand that you have,
Guilt
and you
feeling.
had the feeling of guilt,
Yeah.
but I'm asking if you also, when you look back now, do you have a feeling of pride that you were involved at that time, that you were an eyewitness to that?
Oh, this is by me the least thing and all that. This is I had only in my hands a thing of a Ben-Gurion's autograph, his picture with his autograph, and this was for me enthusiastic memories and all that. Here you go from Yigal Yadin, a handwritten letter. Here from Yaakov Dori, he was bothering his time, spending his time and all that. Yaakov Dori has been in contact with me even after he sent me the letter, because he wound up to be the Manahel of the Haifa Technion Institute. Manahel, that means in English is president of the Technion, of the Haifa Technion. He was the one. He was a great intelligent person, this man. He was chosen to be Manahel Technion Haifa, and he sent me, I have letters of that, a letter that he wants to give me work for him in Haifa, where I lived in Haifa and I had my store in Haifa. He located me and all that, and I did do work for him, for the Technion. So this is this is all great accomplishments. I have side letters, all this kind of that and all that.
So you do have pride in what you did during those years?
Great. Yeah, I had pride.
One second,
Just give
he
me
just
a-
has to change the.
Yeah, yeah.
Restart this here. Let's see, for slate. Okay. And whenever you're ready.
So you came to New York with your family, and once again you had to start from scratch, a new life, just
Yeah.
like you had done a few years, 11 years earlier in
Yes.
Israel. What was it like to start a new life here?
The first 2 weeks that I was newcomer here in this country, and I walk in Manhattan, and I look around at the beautiful windows displayed, and I look at them. Hey, this is all very, very interesting, very beautiful things, but it's not within my reach. These same windows I was going through 2 weeks later, everything is within my reach. So the feeling, just an explanation, and all that. Not only that, in my first job, where I started, the manager comes to me, "Do you have other friends like you, like you?" He thought that I have many tailors and all that, because they need it. It's in great need and all that. So I was so independent already and all that. At every place that I wanted, I had it. So I was so excited about it, but I did not want to settle for it. I wanted to go on. That a Schneider, a tailor is not enough for me. What I was doing, operator, I was so skilled that I will never forget and never believe that I will be able to do it. A machine operator to make codes in 7 hours. They controlled on the minute and all that. In 7 hours, I made 7 codes with buttonholes in it and pockets and everything is needed and all that. I made 7 codes without the lining. Lining is nothing, because a lining man and all that makes it a low fee, you know, and all that. I didn't settle for that. I am here in the United States. I want to go on in advance, and I want to become a designer. Design the first design, the first style, and all that. Coats, suits, dresses, blouses, whatever it exists. And I'm looking for a school, and I was registered in school. And I went after my day's work for 3 years. Every evening I stay home. I stay there, and not going home. And I stay in Manhattan, and I go to school. And after the 3 years, I finished making pattern makings for the garment, for coats, for dresses, for suits, blouses, whatever and all that. And pattern grading. Now I will explain to you because nobody knows what it means. Grading, very important. When I make a pattern as a pattern for a size 10 model, that's the model that they want to have it made for that model, because she is they're tested and all that. If it is a size 10 model, if it fits her, it will fit other 10s. What about size 12? What about 14, 16? You know what I mean? All that. And what about size 8, 6, 4? This comes for grading. Grading is a very precision thing and all that, and you have to know what you are doing. Because if you are making a mistake on a fraction of an inch on one size, and you go to 6 sizes higher, it's already 6 fractions are different. So you have to be so precise in doing that and all that. I learned that, and I was very good at it. But
what were some of the big
pattern
companies
making
that you made patterns for?
I have a little list here so wherever I worked, they liked me, and all that I can tell you. But for grading, I never went after work for grading, because grading was lower pay for it. Know that I made better money on pattern making. I still made money on grading at home, private. After my day's work, my 7 hours in Manhattan, takes an hour to come home, and another half an hour, my dinner, whatever it is, and all that. I go down to my garage, and I was doing grading for a company, a religious person he was making leather coats. Leather coats. He was a religious person, and he didn't trust to give me because he was afraid that I may wind up in making on Shabbos or things like this and all that. But once he knew me, and I deal with him and all that, he trusted me more. So I was doing at home grading, and I have a grading machine until this day. A machine. I paid for it $200 years ago and all that. I would like to get rid of it. I don't know how, and all that. I mean, just that's it.
Let me ask you, when you were living all these years in New York and raising your family, your children were young when they left Israel and came here.
Yeah.
How did you keep up the connection for them with the state of Israel?
With the state of Israel.
From here in Brooklyn, how did you make sure your children stayed connected to them?
With my children, number one, I want to mention since that I experienced, I started to live in a doubt about the one in heaven, if he exists or not, because I think that if he would know what happens with millions of Jews and all that, if Jews or not Jews and all that, he would not let this to happen and all that. So I was in a doubt, and I am still in a doubt about that. But at home, my wife was religious, and I tried not to go much against her and all that. So I was raising my children to know, to go to Hebrew school and to learn for their bar mitzvah, to learn pray and everything and all that. So this is the way I did and all that. The thing is that I forgot, I didn't mention before that I wanted, by feeling guilt feeling and all that, I was trying to compensate by helping whatever it is, institutes for in Israel, important things, important places and all that. And I was doing it pretty generously. And I was always talking to myself that in Israel they were pressuring me on to pay taxes all the time. Although I was having a hard time making a living and all that, I was writing to the in Israel to the Department of Tax, the department to Jerusalem and all that. And they tried to solve me, and they cut in half their demands and all that. But that half was still 10 times double what I could afford to pay for them and all that. So I had a lot of pressure about that and all that. So this is the way I was doing and all that. So my children, I wanted to raise them. They should learn and know whatever it is, and I never talked to them about how my feelings is about heaven, and all that. Let them decide whatever any way they feel like, and they grow up and they will do on their own. So this is the way I was feeling.
And how did you feel? You had one son who went back to be in the Israeli army.
I couldn't say no, because I
Tell me about that. When that happened.
I loved Israel all the time, and I feel guilty all the time and all that I left Israel, with three sons and all that. So I had enough of my guilt feelings like that. So how can I say, yes, it is my son and all that. I cannot say, Jack, you cannot, you should not go and all that, and I'm against it. I never said that. But I did tell him that you should know, Jackie, that it is not an easy thing as you may think about it and all that, because I remember my times in the army, in Israel army and all that. I was going in the mountains at midnight. I was sent to go, and I was giving a password. If I hear somebody walking, then I want to hear the password of him. If he is one of our kinds, or what, or you know that. And not only that, when I go there to a certain place where they send me, I have to bring proof for what I found there and all that. So this is
So you knew
not easy things.
You knew it wouldn't be easy for him, but were you proud that he decided to go into the Israeli army?
I was all the time. I was taking pride in him that he is going and all that. But in the other way, it's a son of mine, and you know. So I felt and begged for his health and everything good and all that, and he was very homesick, I can tell you, and yes, and he had a substitute mother there that they adopted him while he is serving there in the army and all that. So everything was for me some encouragement and all that he is being taken care of here and there, besides the relatives. Yes, I had a sister living there. I still have family there. My sister's two daughters with their families and living there. I have my wife's sister, and she has two daughters there with their families. She has some already by now. She has 15 great-grandchildren, my wife's sister.
So you always had your connection to Israel.
I still have the
but
connection.
Your life here in America, you were happy with. You were happy with how things turned out here?
With my life.
With your life here in America, the way things turned out with your work, with your children and your grandchildren.
Yes,
your life
I
with your
am
wife.
happy, and I'm not making money, but I'm still a supporter. Until now, I have a list of supporters and all that. A list of places where I support and all that. All including here in Jerusalem. No, not in. I mean in what do you call it? No, I forgot the capital.
What, in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem?
No, here.
In Washington?
In Washington, D.C. There is a what do you call it? No, that is the friends of American Friends of Israel.
Defense Force.
AIPAC.
Oh, AIPAC, okay.
AIPAC. I am over 25 years a supporter there. I can show it to you that they sent me a letter that a kind of great to be happy about, you know, that I have it this minute. I can show it to you.
So young people today, Jews and non-Jews, they hear so much about Israel and so much controversy about Israel. As someone who was there at the beginning of the state of Israel, what do you want them to know about Israel and about that moment, 1948, in history? What would you say to young people about Israel?
You can't explain to them to say this. About Israel, I'm very supportive that they are sending but to Israel, something like that. People, young people are being sent to Israel, and I'm very happy about that. And I tried to talk in families who I know, and all that this is the right thing, and hoping that they will get warmed up about Israel. But I'm very much pro-Israel, and I'm very concerned about what is going on, the anti-Semitism and all that. Very alert about it. I read and every time that I'm getting it on my iPad. That you know.
But you read all the news
My
about what's happening.
my word retrieval trouble. You know what I mean? Is
But this all still concerns you, what you see in the world, the anti-Semitism.
very much, and I am all over with contributing for this kind of things and all that. And I say to myself, I'll survive with it comes about money, and all that. Yes, I'm not contributing as I used to when I was making money and all that. And for me, to APEC is $10, some 3 times a year, 3-4 times a year, and all that.
Here's my opinion. I think a lot of people will say you contributed a lot to Israel, not just in the money, but you contributed with your service at the time in the 1940s. And I want to thank you for that, for all your contributions, and for telling your story today.
Yeah, all right, yes. Okay, so that's it, we are done?
We are done.
So anyway, I want to
Okay.
mention.
We are done, except now we have to work and show all the pictures. And
Look at this here, for instance. Ben Gurion. Plain and simple written, Ben Gurion. And this is measurements of his.
so he was short?
He was short and chubby. Now,
Did you get
this, you see, I wrote a question mark, but this was also Ben Gurion, because I made for them to.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
You got that?
Yep.
That name. Okay. And who else in the book? You had
Who?
Yadin before, I saw.
Yeah, I don't remember. I had him. Joseph Abidar, he's a general, but I didn't write the general. Aluf Yigal Yadin, but he was more than Aluf. He, again Yigal. Von Friedman, he is the head, the head of the Mishpatim, as I mentioned. Aluf Lasko Chaim. Sgan Aluf, wait a minute. but Sgan Aluf is not good enough. Aluf Yosef Avidar. Sgan Aluf Rav Seren Oren Eliyahu. Again, Aluf von Friedman. Aluf Monte Green, it was Mordechai Green. They come from other countries, but when it comes to this here, war in Israel, they were select people from the world. Sgan Aluf Herzog, Aluf Tzadok, he was the head Agaf Koach Adam. This is the head. He is the count of the soldiers, of the fighters, and all that. Yes. Sgan Aluf Chotar Yeshai. What else is there? Rav Goronchik. I wrote Goronchik, but his name is Goren now. That was everything in the beginning and all that. Rav Aluf Yaakov Dori. That's personalities. Aluf Mondek. I think that Mondek comes, if I'm not mistaken, from India. Jewish, but he's a cop. He is a, and all that. Sgan Aluf Meljan, Sgan Aluf Benjamin Tzur, Sgan Aluf Shadmi, Sgan Aluf Kaplan, Aluf von Friedman again. Aluf Yigal Yadin again, Aluf Avidar. Avidar is Rosh, I said, Agaf of Sanaot, clothing and all that is, material things. Rav Aluf, no name, Rav Aluf. Who is Rav Aluf? That was Yaakov Dori at the time. Mondek. No, I didn't say Aluf Mondek. Aluf Avidar again. Aluf Boganov. There was from Russia. He has still the Russian name. Aluf Mordechai Green. Here I wrote Mordechai Green, and there I wrote Monte Green. Here is Rav Aluf Yigal Yadin. האלוף משנה דוקטור שיבר. So,
Yeah, that's
so that's about. All right.
Now let's look at the letters and the nice picture of Ben Gurion. This is fun.
You wanna go back to bed?
No, now we want to.
Oh yeah. No, help yourself. It's my wife. She passed away on Alzheimer's, so I had a better package with her, and all that. So I had the last 7 years. I had wonderful memories from her in all the lifetime. It's 61 years we were together. 61 years.
Wow.
We were both young. I was 23 when I got married, and she was 19.
So, recording?
Yep.
So tell us about this letter from Yaakov Dori, when he talks about the problem that they had with the uniform. What was he referring to?
What he's referring to, he was talking with me and asking my opinion about certain things, levush, the kind of clothing, if it is appropriate or not, my opinion and all that. So this is it. He wrote it. He wrote about it. So that's that's. Who is that? That's Dory?
That's Dori's letter. Yes.
Ah, that's in Hebrew.
Yeah.
So when it comes the time, I don't want to keep it. I want you to have it there. You know what I mean?
This has to be in some museum, you know. This your little book.
What shall I do with it?
Well, we'll ask the man in charge of the project what he thinks.
Yes,
Ask,
but
RDA.
I don't need it. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't take pride in it.
No, but just
You know, the
it's
thing
wonderful that you've saved it.
You were
really.
talking about this book and all that measurement and all that, and I say, come on, what's this here? Where about all these things that I have and all that?
Got the Hebrew?
There's a reverse side, right?
because that was in Israel. But I don't know if there were many others other than that.
Just get one shot of him looking in there, and then we can get in close and get anything.
I guess you want anything that looks like from that era when they first moved to Israel.
Well, the one with your brother is, you know, is
It's
like
good.
the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this one here, what do you think about it?
And this was here in the United States?
No.
Oh, this was
Oh,
in Israel
yes.
still?
Hold it. Yes, this is in Israel. Because
That's in
because you
Israel,
see, this is a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
This is in
That's probably
Israel.
just
About
before we left.
yes.
You look like American dressed. I'm surprised.
Well, it's all come back into style, you know.
But
Usually I can
look,
tell.
American dressed.
No, I can tell usually pictures.
No,
No.
you look at
And
films
where
like
is this?
period pieces
This my
now,
wife.
you see,
My
it's
wife with
like
the first son.
perfect
But where?
wardrobe for today.
And here we are all the three.
So this is in
This
Israel.
also in Israel. My
All
wife.
right.
Like,
So
I
here's
don't
what I
know, the
think.
imitation game.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Here's
But
the wardrobe there. I
You
mean,
want this picture?
okay.
Um,
Hang on, let me just get.
all right.
that.
So
Okay.
you're gonna tell us what's in this picture when he's taking the.
All right, I'm rolling.
Okay. Explain who's in this picture.
And, huh?
Tell us about this picture. That's what we're looking at.
Well, I don't know. What can I tell you? This is a picture I've made. That's in Israel, in the years yet, about a year or two before leaving Israel.
This is 1950.
I left Israel in 1958, but this would be either 1957 or 56. But I was
And in what city?
I was in the time of the 6-Day War. In the time of the 6-Day War, I was on the frontier.
This one right here?
Yeah. In the time of the 6-Day War, when it was with the Sinai. So I was by the Syrian border.
no, not
In-
the 6-Day War, the Sinai War.
What?
The Sinai War.
1956.
56.
I say 56. Sinai.
That's not 6-Day
The
War.
Sinai campaign.
Sinai
No,
campaign.
no, Sinai
Sinai
campaign, yes, Sinai. I have this also from the army. I didn't, never got
Okay.
Ot.
All right. I think.
I have Ot Sinai.
You know, I
They don't
those
need all
are the
that
more
stuff. They
important
just want to
things,
know.
just a
They
couple.
just want a
No,
couple
but that's
of
okay.
pictures,
I think that we
yeah.
got them. We got the
All right,
pictures.
all right.
We got you in there.
Yeah.
Did you get this one too, or you
No,
got the other one?
this
That's
no,
fine.
this one,
This
this
is
one.
better.
That's fine. That's
Quality.
good.
And this is more
This
clear,
and the one
more
of,
clear.
You and your brother.
Oh, okay.
This
Okay.
one.
As
Yes,
long as you
yes.
got what
So
you.
two for
And
Israel.
this is the way I looked when I was in the army,
Ah,
in
okay,
Israeli
that's
army.
good. Now wait. Let's do that again.
Got it. Okay.
You look like an Italian wife beater with that mustache.
I'm like an
No, this
Italian
is
white
without the
beater. White beater. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that little picture of you.
And
When
what-
was that from?
Well, I used to have a picture that to enter.
Okay,
The-
but that one was taken.
the-
What year do you think?
That was taken. I don't know. At the time I arrived to Israel, or something like that.
So it's around. It's somewhere around 1947, 48.
1947. Yes, that's okay. 47 or 48 does make any difference. No, that's the way I looked.
You had good hair.
Oh yeah, I had a lot too much of it. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
All right, I think.
Father.
Oh, here's another one. Well, when is that from?
Yeah, this is from the time of our marriage.
So this is before they even came to Israel.
Right, so this is
Marriage, yeah, that's
So anything you're talking about from that
19
period, you can, you know. just look at
1946.
Could this be in Vienna or just the wedding was?
In Vienna, we stayed in Vienna in the Rothschild Hospital.
So maybe were these pictures from Vienna?
This is from Vienna. Yes, these pictures are from Vienna.
That's great. Very nice.
And she was in Auschwitz.
This is the marriage picture here. If you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
Ruining your picture.
No, it's okay. So that's your wedding photo, huh? Great.
I have.
And then we can.
I can bring you a picture from Vienna, from the Hupa, the wedding. In Rothschild Hospital, that's where we had the wedding.
We have, this is it.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.